You know, a lot of people often give me a lot of hate because I say negative stuff about The Walking Dead more often than not. But move this light a little better. But what people don't realize is that I've been watching The Walking Dead since I believe season 3 was on. And I've been a very long fan of the show, and I do actually have some positives about the show. Currently, not really. But previous seasons and episodes, yeah, I was a really big fan back then. I used to watch the show every single week, and one of the questions I've been asked once, I don't really get this question a lot, and I've brought it up a few times, and people really some don't understand why, and like, what is your all-time favorite Walking Dead episode? What do you think is the greatest Walking Dead episode of all time? And it's a very controversial episode. And I feel like from saying that you should know what I'm talking about. But just from the writing in this episode, to how it was shot, to the acting, everything in this episode, and everything that happened before this episode coming into fruition all at once and coming into the culmination of what the episode progressed into the following season made this episode, in my opinion, the greatest episode in Walking Dead history. Episodes have come close, but none have been able to top, in my opinion. And in this episode, I'm going to explain to you guys why I think Season 4, Episode 14 of The Walking Dead, The Grove, is the greatest episode in Walking Dead history. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Tyler. Welcome back to the Tyler Williams channel. Welcome to another video. Yeah, you guys saw that intro. If you guys asked me what is my all-time favorite episode of Walking Dead, I would have told you for the past 4 to 5 years that it is The Grove. The Grove is my all-time favorite Walking Dead episode. Now, many people are asking, why is it your favorite episode? Isn't that the episode when Carol killed those 2 kids? You actually like that episode? And while I didn't entirely like it for that reason, it's how everything came to that moment. It wasn't just Carol killed kids, that's why I liked it. It was everything that followed up. So, we're going to have a bit of a spoiler. Everything's going to be a spoiler in this episode. I'm going to show you clips from the episode and everything leading up to it. So let me show you what I meant by everything leading up to this episode made the episode so perfect. So when you start off from this season, it's Rick going to war with Negan, yeah, sure. It was Rick going to war with the governor. Now, this was the main story, but there was also 2 story arcs going on in the background. Everyone was getting sick from this flu, and I think there was some mole in the group that they're trying to point out. There was 2 things going on in the background, and I think that's what made that season so unique, is that it wasn't just Rick versus the governor. There was other things going on, and one of those things was that there was a flu going around, and people were getting sick. People were getting sick. It was like an airborne sickness, and when they get sick, they died. And the thing was, you didn't want them to die because there's so many people living in this area that if someone turns into a walker and they bite someone, then everyone gets infected, and you don't know who's going to get infected until they show symptoms of themselves being sick. So that was actually one of the best parts of the season, was that, oh my god, anyone could get sick. No one has to get bitten anymore. People could just get sick. I hated it at first, but I learned to respect it. Like, that was so awesome, because it's like, Rick can get sick, Carl can get sick, Daryl can get sick, anybody can get sick, and then there's just a walker all of a sudden. Well, people were getting sick, and 2 people were really sick, Karen and David. And one of the things that happened was Karen and David ended up dead. Someone killed them, and everyone's like, oh, someone killed Karen and David, I wonder who it was, da, 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 da. And everyone's walking around, and Karen so happened to be the girlfriend of Tyrese, and Tyrese is on a rampage. I believe it left to a fight scene between Tyrese and Rick.
Step the hell back! No. Rick! Let go of me! No! No!
Oh, shit! You got knocked the fuck out!
But everyone's going around wondering who it was, and it ended up being revealed that Carol came clean to Rick and told them, like, look, I killed them because they were sick, they were going to die, and if I didn't kill them, they would have turned into walkers, and they probably would have started eating other people. It needed to be done.
Did you kill Karen and David?
Yes.
Rick was pretty self-centered and wasn't really looking at it from her point of view. And it's like, look, you're going around killing members of our group. You got to go. So Carol got kicked out. Now, at the time, I wasn't that big of a Carol fan because I always thought she was weak. She was weak, and she just, while mentally she was growing into a stronger character, physically and her actions, she still was a weak character. So I didn't care too much about her. She got casted off. I believe she got at least one episode that was dedicated to her, or at least I think a few minutes of a episode that was dedicated to her, just like trying to live on her own. And I'm like, oh, that's good. She knows how to live her own and whatnot. Fast forward, more people getting sick. Then the war between the governor and Negan happens. Now, in my opinion, I always thought that the war between the governor and Negan is one of the best scenes in a Walking Dead. One of the best things in Walking Dead, when Governor comes through with that big ass tank and everyone's just going jaw jacking each other. Then Herschel's dead, and everybody, bullets are flying. You don't know who's gonna die. I feel like you just can't get that shit anymore now. Like season 7, Walking Dead with Negan, you get that, but everyone keeps on hitting and missing, hitting and missing, hitting and missing. You didn't really get that sense of it's always a battle. This built up to that one battle, and when it happened, you didn't know what was going to happen. People were dying left and right, mostly on the governor's side, but I think there's 1 or 2 people that died on Rick's side, and then people got split up because everything's going on, and the prison got destroyed. This was the early stages of, oh my god, they had to move to a new area. This was before they started repeating it over and over again, so this was a new concept to me, and that's why I really liked this season. So everyone got split up. One of the groups ended up being Tyrese and 2 little girls known as Lizzie and Mika, whose their father actually caught the sickness and ended up dying, and Carol had to be one to kill their father, which means that Carol had to basically adopt the two kids. One of the episodes that came along is that every episode focused on a different person. Now, once again, this was early stages before Walking Dead would keep on doing the every episode must focus on a different group. This was the early stages, and I think this is the first time they did it. So it was new, and I was totally in love with it. So every episode focused on a different group. It was Rick and Carl, then became Rick, Carl, and Michonne. Then there was Daryl and Beth, which is one of the more intriguing storylines. Then there was Maggie, Sasha, and Bob. And then you had Tyrese, the 2 kids, and Judith, because Tyrese ended up taking Judith with him. There was a bit of a storyline where Rick and Carl thought Judith was dead, but it turned out Tyrese had her the whole time. So Tyrese is dealing with this baby and these 2 kids, and it's like, oh shit, we all know what's going to happen. Next thing you know, something happens where Tyrese loses the kids, and he's freaking out because now he thinks, oh shit, I got these kids killed. Not only have this baby, I don't know what I'm going to do. Next thing you know, Carol and the kids turn up. I lose my shit when this happened. I was like, oh my god, it's Carol! Ah! I was not excited. I was so excited because she was gone for so long that I honestly forgot all about her. It wasn't that I was excited because I missed her. It was that she was gone so long that I forgot about her, and when she turned up, I was like, holy shit, she's back! Hey! I didn't think she was going to be that big to me with your character. I just thought that, okay, now Tyrese has a sidearm. Little did I know, that experience made Carol a strong-willed female. And probably, I think, if you ask me, the best female character in The Walking Dead. They ended up having I think the episode focused on them partly, but I remember being very angry because a lot of the episodes didn't focus on them. It was either Rick's group or Daryl's group, and I was really angry. And then they finally got that episode that was just for them. Carol, Mika, Lizzie, Tyrese, and Judith. And it led to the Grove. And all those events led to this episode. So you had Carol being abandoned by the group and finally turning up with Tyrese and these 2 kids who she adopted. Now she has to deal with Judith. Mind you, Carol once had a daughter in the earlier seasons of Walking Dead I forgot what her name was, but she had a daughter. Her daughter ran away, got bit by Walker. It was a very, very driving point of season 2. From there on, Carol became kind of a weak character after that. So take in mind that Carol already had to deal with the loss of a child. Now she's dealing with 3 children. Well, 2 children and 1 baby. So episode starts off, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in this episode. Like, foreshadowing galore. Every single minute there was just, this is at least my second or third time watching this episode, so watching it a second or third time, I'm like, oh shit, a lot of these things that they're saying actually happened later on in the episode or later on in the season, and it came back to bite me in the ass because I didn't really catch on to it at that time.
Did you have kids?
I did. Daughter. She was sweet. She didn't have a mean bone in her body.
Is that why she's in here now?
The dialogue in the episode was pretty good. Everything really seemed to come together and make a lot of sense.
Would you miss me?
I'm not gonna have to miss you.
And even though in previous episodes you knew, you had a feeling that there might be something wrong with Lizzie and Mika, you didn't really realize it until this episode that there really is something wrong with Lizzie and Mika. Mostly Lizzie. There was really something wrong with her. You could tell in the beginning of the episode, but then towards the end you were like, oh my fucking god, this girl's a psychopath. I'm gonna skip around a little bit. They come across this little grove, this little house thing, and they finally, like, okay, maybe you have a chance to settle down in this place until we can go off and find Terminus. Because remember, everyone sees the signs to Terminus, and everyone's trying to head to Terminus. But they get a bit of a detour, so they're like, okay, let's settle down at the Grove for a while. So they head into the Grove. Carol and Tyrese go to check it out. Mizzy, Judith, and Mika sitting outside, talking about something. And then Walker comes out of nowhere, and Lizzie is confronted with killing Walker. Mika does it. When Mika does it, Lizzie gets like visually upset about it. And it's like, why is she so upset? And then you come to realize through conversations with Carol and Lizzie that Mika can't kill humans and Lizzie can't kill walkers. Now, which is worse? Not being able to kill humans or not being able to kill walkers? It's kind of a conflicting thing there because not all humans are bad, except in The Walking Dead it seems like every humans that aren't their survivors are pretty bad. But everyone knows that the walkers are out to eat you, so you would take it as, well, obviously the walkers are the worst common enemy. So I can really relate more to Mika not being able to kill humans than Lizzie not being able to kill walkers. And as the episode goes on, you start to see that this isn't just her not being able to kill walkers, it's probably a mental issue going on here. And it all comes to a fore when Lizzie's outside. She's seen playing with a walker, like walker's chasing her. She's like playing catch or tag with it. And Carol comes out like, get away from the walker. And Lizzie's like, no. She's just my friend. She's my friend. Carol pushes Lizzie out the way, kills the walker. Lizzie's screaming at Carol like, you killed her. You killed my friend. How dare you do this? What if I killed you? And she started saying words like, what if I killed you? What if I killed you? And I'm like, bitch, who the fuck? I would be like, bitch, who the fuck you think you talking to? I would have slapped. Look, man. I don't know if I would have been able to deal with all the shit Lizzie was putting up with. I know she ain't my child. But if she started yelling, what if I killed you? And there was a scene I'm going to get to later on that would have really had me like, all right, Lizzie got to die now. But this scene was, I don't know, man. It's my inner black parent that's like, who the fuck you think you talk? Like, yeah. So more shit just starts to happen. And you're like, Lizzie is so fucked up. Like, it just makes Mika look not that bad at all. Like Mika's the sane one. And throughout the episode, you know that Carol and Tyrese are hanging out. Tyrese knows that Karen's dead. Carol knows that Karen's dead. Tyrese doesn't know that Carol killed her, though. Carol has to walk around with Tyrese and just act like nothing has happened before that, and I didn't kill your girlfriend. So that's kind of conflicting, too, with Mika and Lizzie, and then you have this baby in the background and all this shit. It's just like everything in the background's going on right now. Carol and Tyrese go on a walk, and looks like Carol's about to break and tell him, but she decides not to. Then they start walking back, and they see probably the most upsetting. I remember just watching it back. I remember like I wasn't welled up. I haven't cried over a TV show or a movie like in, God knows how long. I don't know if I even ever cried over anything like that. But I started to like feel like you know, your gut when, like, you know how you feel when you want to cry but you can't. That's how I start to feel. Like, wait, you start to see Lizzie, she's standing over Mika, and Mika's laying on the ground, there's blood on her, and Judith's on the ground too, and they run over to her, and Lizzie's like, don't worry, she'll come back. It didn't hurt her brain. And then you see Mika's fucking dead as shit, and Lizzie has the knife in her hand. It's like, oh my god, Lizzie killed Mika. Then Judith is right next to her, and it's like, the fuck is going on here? And then, here's the part I was talking about. Carol goes to take the knife from Lizzie. Lizzie pulls out a gun like, no way, I would have been like, who the fuck do you... Oh, man. I couldn't have been Carol in that situation. I would have either ended up dead because her ass would have shot me.
No.
Who the fuck?
I will remember you.
Or that kid would have...
No.
Who the fuck you think you're talking to? Terrible I am, but you don't understand what kind of dilemma, my thought process. I don't know what I would have done in that situation, honestly. Carol handled this situation way better than me. And Carol's like, and she's like, no, we have to wait because she's going to turn, and you guys need to see that walkers aren't that bad. When she turns, you'll see it. And in Lizzie's mind, it's like, walkers aren't bad, and maybe you'll see this if my sister comes back as a walker and she doesn't hurt us. Maybe that's her convoluted way of thinking. And Carol, Tyrese, they obviously know this is wrong. And then Carol's like, okay, we can do what you're about to do. And she's like, I was about to do it to Judith too. And Carol's like, she can't even walk yet. What are you talking about? I'm like, was she about to kill the baby too? Like, what is wrong with this girl? And you were just on edge. I was just on edge the whole time. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What are they going to do? And it's like the obvious answer is they kind of have to kill her. You can't take her with you. And it's kind of inhumane to just leave the little girl by herself. You know, just get up and go and leave her at the cottage to die by herself. It's like, there's not really much of a choice left. And that's when we get to the scene where Carol and Lizzie are walking. And Lizzie's like, oh my God, I upset you. Are you mad because I pointed the gun at you? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Just because you pointed the gun at me? Not because you killed your sister. Not because you were about to kill Judith. Not because you fed walkers. You fed rats to walkers. Not because you think walkers are fucking people deep down inside. But no, just because you pointed the gun at me. Now, pointing the gun at me, I think would probably be my number one reason to be mad at you. But you have like 5 different things going on. And that's the only reason you think I'm mad at you right now. But nonetheless, Carol takes Lizzie out. Lizzie's like, Carol's like, just look at the flowers, Lizzie, because before then, Mika had the strategy with Lizzie to tell her to look at the flowers so that way she would calm down.
Look at the flowers like you're supposed to. Count 1, 2, 3. Come on, let's count together. Look at the pink ones over there. You see? 1, 2.
Carol was kind of using that strategy against her so that way Lizzie would have known what was going on, because what was going on was that Carol's pulling out her gun and shot Lizzie in the head. And that's what people really know this episode for. And I feel like it's kind of a shame because a lot of people only know that episode for this, and they don't really know that this episode was just a culmination of a bunch of things happening. This was Carol coming into the Carol we all know and love today. Without this episode, Carol would not be the badass we all know and love today. This episode basically made Carol a badass. Now, you could say that the events beforehand leading up to it made her a badass, but that was kind of just developing it. This made her into a badass. This led into the episode everyone knows her best for, when she saved everyone. This was that episode that made it that way. And if you guys know, if you guys read the book of Mice and Men, this was basically almost mirroring of Mice and Men when Lenny, I don't remember the other, was it Lenny or George or something? When Lenny had to shoot his friend because his friend became basically a detriment to the group. I don't remember if I think he killed somebody accidentally, but you know, he was mentally retarded, and he was basically, in a sense, like Lizzie. This was basically a mirroring of Mice and Men. And at the time, I was reading the book in high school, so I was able to put the two together, and that made it more meaningful to me, because it's like, I'm fucking reading this book right now. And Tyrese is watching this from the window, so now Tyrese is like, oh my god, this has got to be so terrible for Carol. And, you know, Tyrese probably feeling all bad for it, but then we get to the scene when Carol and Tyrese are in a room, and there's a gun on the table, the gun that she killed Lizzie with, and Carol just slowly gravitates the gun towards Tyrese, and I'm like, no, Carol, don't do it, Carol! And she tells him,
I killed Karen and David.
and he's freaking out. He's like, and he's internally freaking out. He's not like about to flip the table. I'm on edge. I'm like, he's about to flip the table and kill her. And I'm just sitting there like, look, we just got so much character development from Carol. Please don't kill her. I don't know if I can handle 3 deaths in one episode. But that's essentially what happened. Mika, Lizzie, and Carol. That'd have been 3 deaths in one episode. 3 main characters. You could say that Mika and Lizzie weren't main characters, but at that point they were pretty much a main story focus at that one episode. It's like, I don't know if I can handle 3 characters dying at one time. Especially because Carol's coming into her own, and she's like, and he's like, was it quick? And she's like, yeah. And he's about to grab the gun. I'm like, oh no. And he forgives her.
I forgive you.
But he's like, I will not forget this or something. And I'm like, yay. And then that leads to the end. There's a quote from Lizzie and Carol towards the end, and they walk away.
I'm not afraid to kill. I'm just afraid.
You can't be.
How?
You fight. And fight it.
And that was the end of the episode. And I thought, just from everything that happened, it was perfectly done. Perfectly written. I believe this episode was I think it was written by Scott Gimple. Let me check. I think this episode was written by Scott Gimple. Yeah, I was right. This episode actually was written by Scott Gimple. And it kind of leads you to believe that, you know, Scott Gimple must not all be this bad. What probably happened is Scott Gimple, along the way, lost his mojo because, you know, you've been writing for this show for so long. All your good ideas are pretty much gone. And I actually kind of want to do this on the anniversary of the episode. I don't know. We're 5 days away from the anniversary of this episode. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the anniversary of this episode. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So, yeah. I was originally going to post this on Sunday, but I intentionally waited until March 16th because this is the 4-year anniversary of The Grove, my all-time favorite episode. When Carol came into her own, Lizzie and Mika finally met their climax. Tyrese forgave Carol. And just everything happened. And this episode actually was written by Scott Gimple, which is shocking because everyone likes to shit on Scott Gimple now. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like you write for this show, you produce for the show for so long, you probably just ran out of good ideas. This was back then when Scott Gimple actually knew how to fucking write the show. Like, this was a good show. I will credit Scott Gimple for this. He produced one of the greatest episodes in The Walking Dead history, and if you ask me, the greatest episode in The Walking Dead history. So I will give Scott Gimple his credit. This was one of the greatest episodes of all time, if not the greatest episode of all time. So that's what I'm going to say about this. Thank you all for watching this episode. Tell me what you guys think down below. Do you think this is the greatest episode of all time? Or is it near that? Or is it far away? What did you think about this episode? All that jazz. I will be reading your comments as usual. I am possibly thinking about, instead of watching the rest of Season 8 and only coming back for the finale, I'm going to start reviewing Season 5 of The Walking Dead. I'm going to rewatch the greatest season of The Walking Dead and see what did they do right that they're not doing right now. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. What do you guys think about that as well? Tell me what you guys think down below. Like, share, subscribe. As always, I love you guys, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out.